world.
All right. We are live. Joel, thank you for joining me.
Amy, I'm here. This is so weird. I keep doing the opposit.
Right, I know.
Mirrored.
It's the mirrored thing, yeah. And I know you know what it's like to have a twin. So welcome. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's good to
Yes.
see you.
So Joel, thank you for helping figure out already. We had technical difficulties. I've never streamed with another person and we could not figure out the sound. So here we are on Streamlabs, StreamYard. And look at us. Problem solving. And I feel like that's most of what streaming is. Problem solving on the fly.
Everyone's kind of doing it. Everyone's doing it live. Everyone's trying to figure out how to figure this out. So it's cool. Yeah, we're doing it together.
It is fun because the reason I wanted to call you is because friend of the podcast, as they say, Christo, made a tweet the other day and I thought it was so funny and I agreed. And he basically said, just because you can doesn't mean you shouldn't. And he meant that concerning live streaming. And he said, get your AV situation figured out, come on. And I honestly was like, he could be talking about me because we went live the other day to design a logo live for my friend Scott Snyder. It was so fun, but I had two mics going and it sounded like there was a helicopter sitting next to my computer. So I was like, I need to call Joel. I need all of us creatives who are trying to live stream and stay in touch with people and just have fun on the internet. We need your help on how to do this correctly.
I mean, so to the criticism or to the, I think it's self-aware to say that just because you can, you shouldn't. But also I've always said, nothing will change unless you do something. Right. And so I think we're in a time where people have a lot of extra time and then also we can't connect like we used to. So I think a lot of people that make or want to say something are leaning to a podcast or live streaming because they feel like they want to share or connect in a certain way. And so that's kind of why I've always made vlogs, not because I'm trying to build some platform, but rather I feel like I want to say something or have something to say, but don't really know where or how. And so YouTube and videos made sense. And I think that's why live stream makes sense, but there is something to be said of understanding the platform itself. I've been considering Twitch and I went on there and I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. I don't understand quite. I've been doing live streaming and helping out our church do a lot of the social media stuff, but Twitch specifically, I think is a whole nother monster in itself, and Discord and all of that world. So I'm kind of diving into it too and doing it, treading lightly and trying to convince myself not to do it for that same reason. Right.
I know. I was telling my friend Jenna Rainey, you know Jenna, she's local here, but I was telling her it's like karaoke. At first you're afraid and then you're like, they can't get you off the stage. Now it's first you're afraid to live stream and then you get a taste and then everyone's like, listen, we know you like doing this, but
we're just getting a couple drinks in or just starting out. Yeah.
Totally. So
I mean, we're doing it now. This is us figuring it out, right? In a certain way.
Absolutely. We're playing it as it comes, but yeah. So I guess my first thing is, so my first question is, oh shit, I gotta close that. So my first question is, you've been doing this, you have 4,000 subscribers, you've been doing this for years before everyone was hopping on because of the quarantine thing. So, okay, tell us mainly why you started. You said you basically wanted to tell your story, you weren't sure why you started and how you figured out mainly, when was the moment you realized you caught your stride of, okay, what's good content? What do people care about? And, getting a role for okay, my subscribers are starting to respond and they're digging this. I have figured out my niche. I got 2,000 likes on my video or whatever it was. What was the moment and give us some insight on how we can find our content, our voice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it for a while, but very inconsistently for a while as of my career and life has ebbed and flowed. I would say that I've been successful at failing in YouTube to a comfortable space. I am very content with where my YouTube is now, and 4,000 subscribers is crazy to me. I never assumed I would have thousands of subscribers, but it's also nothing in compared to what YouTube and vlogging is. I very much got swept up into the early days of, not the early days. I was a big Casey Neistat fan. I was a big fan of a lot of the things happening in the vlogging space and followed a lot of people. And so naturally was thinking, okay, well, I'm at Google. Some people think that's cool. Some people would want to know what designing at a company looks like. So it seemed obvious to just kind of document some of that as much as I could. And that was kind of coming out of podcasting, which is a longer conversation with other people. And I wanted something that I could just make for myself that I could put out, and it was kind of, autonomous. So kind of have done that. I've played with like tutorial stuff and like really like daily or weekly type vlogging. And I would say that I was just kind of mimicking people, and even my style today is very, reminiscent of other popular styles of YouTube. But I think I am content with knowing that like the majority of people that I have watching, I think are people that are either in school for UX or design, or people that are adjacent to it, either in illustration or engineering or research. And so I really enjoy the engagement that I get. It's a very like niche group of people. And to have 4,000 of those people that actually want to see what I have to say is kind of a fun relationship online, similar to Twitter. And so for me, it's more of like a conversation rather than it is me building a platform of content.
Right, for sure.
But it's always evolving.
That's what most people are wanting to use it for now. And I think that's what Jen and I, all of our events that we had planned for the year for Hoodzpah got canceled. And we were like,
right.
And that's like, we don't get out of the house besides that, especially now with quarantine. So I was like, how can we just see our friends? And we were thinking that all these live streams could be a great way. So but it's been such a learning curve. So
well, early on, my main motivation was to like create a brand. Like one of my first series was like called Android Adultery. It was like all super clickbaity. And the whole point was to like gain a voice in the Android space, because like KitKat had just been defined by Android. It was still very much like an undefined space compared to what iOS was. And so I started like actively trying to understand it and talk about Android more. In a design space, it was very iOS centric. And so that was my intent of like putting content out to get and work at Android, which I ended up doing. And so I think for me, it's becoming like what a blog used to be, or your Instagram feed is, of like the content, the things you want to talk about. I think YouTube is becoming that. And I think YouTube, in the context of like what like Rocky's doing, right, and showing a lot of his illustration work.
Rocky Rourke.
Yeah, Rocky Rourke is an illustrator in San Diego. He's doing a lot of YouTube stuff. It's very different than what like a live stream might be, right? And I've even talked to my wife about that. Like her Instagram, she has a very successful Instagram in the wedding and
Erica
makeup space.
Is more famous than any of us. She is crazy.
She actually has like a real platform. And she's considering doing more YouTube or live stream stuff. And we were trying to untangle. I said, look, like a lot of the moms and professionals on your YouTube or on your Instagram are probably different than the people that would watch live streams or tutorials on YouTube from Instagram, like the moms versus the kids doing hairstyles. And so I think like they're very different, and they're kind of emerging, and people are trying to understand whether you're going to watch Twitch or YouTube or something different.
Right.
And so it's a fascinating space, and I think that's why people are jumping into it, because there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. I know we're trying to figure out, because I think we have two audiences. We obviously have our client audience at Hoodzpah, and then we have like our peer audience, which are people that maybe would buy our books and our fonts. So I'm like, what do people want to see from us? And I'm just trying to like try everything. Like Trevor Gerard's in the chat. What's up, Trevor? We're going to try and do a live, what's it called? Like, it's like a Drawful 2 or something. And you like, it's like Pictionary, but online in the chat. Gosh, and try to guess.
I don't know. I mean, I should know. But I think that's part of it too, is it's a necessary thing. Like I just did a 2-day workshop, which would have been like a sprint typically, like on a whiteboard, with people from all over the world this week. Like, so we were in Figma and in a Google slide deck for an 8-hour workshop across 6 designers around the world, because we had to, because we couldn't be in person. And so we're getting creative. And before, there used to be like nice little tools, like, oh, that's cute, that could work if I worked remote. And now people are really trying to understand it, whether it's for productivity or their own like sanity, right?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, so yeah, we're testing all sorts of stuff, kind of like you said you did at the beginning, and just trying to figure out what is our audience even resonating with. And I do think, at least, because like we've had so much technical difficulties of just what software do we use? My computer sounds like it's ready to catch fire after every streaming that we do. And so I'm like, what kind of software do I need? So if you were to give us like a 2-minute breakdown of like what your setup is, or what a good beginner setup is, just so you don't look like a schmuck and don't sound like a schmuck, like what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, so there's just typical video and audio practices that I think is pretty easy to use, like, or to learn. Like I was learning from some German 12-year-old today on how to set up the proper resolution streaming rates for Twitch. So like those things are easy to learn. You just have to like dig a little bit. And so like there's the technical side of it, of like understanding your computer and whatnot. But most often, like if you're using your mobile phone and you're just going to use streaming, like Instagram and Twitch and all these apps work great from just the phone and are simple, right? And those work. And so we almost did it. We almost just abandoned to Instagram because it would have been easy just to jump in and have it where
Right.
everyone could see it. I've considered just starting there, like just streaming with the phone and then like having your computer there. I think it becomes a lot like significantly more like difficult when you're doing screen sharing and or people, right? If it's just
Right.
you and just one device, I think it's pretty simple. And it's whether you want to do it from your desktop or from a mobile phone, it's pretty easy. I think the things that matter most are making sure that you have some sort of microphone and some sort of good lighting. I'm in a terrible room for this. I'm like backlit, but I have like a whole setup of like my wife's makeup lights here and like another microphone. But like I ideally would have been in a different room. But I think having good lighting and just a good microphone source and just knowing the tools and how to set those things up is like 80% of it. And then making sure you have a good internet connection and using the right app is pretty simple to learn. But
So
that's
those
live
ring lights
streaming.
that they're constantly trying to sell me on Instagram ads, I should get one or
Yes, no, I also have like I bought these little Lumix cubes, which are like these little like 2 inch by 2 inch squares that like just light up your face. They'll hook up
oh,
like
that's
on the
cool.
back of your laptop. So like that's important.
Yeah.
For like live streaming, I think it's just making sure you have good light and a good connection and that your audio
Yeah.
works. Having headphones is huge, not making sure you know like how feedback works. That's just a common etiquette. And if you do video calls, most people know how to do that. So I think the harder thing is when you're wanting to do like an actual vlog and you need like a real camera and then you're importing it to Premiere and splicing video. And then you're like a creator. That's hard. I just learned that because I did, wedding photography. So I just learned that stuff.
Way back before Google, everyone starts as like a wedding photographer or like designing.
Yeah,
I was designing posters for bands, and
I
that's always how
know.
every designer starts. It feels like
Yeah. I
that's
mean,
so
the thing
funny.
is though, like it's super, like my vlog setup is this, like it's a Canon 80D and like $100 microphone, right?
Yeah.
And like 80% of my stuff is this and an iPhone. And then I cut it in Premiere. You can use GarageBand or iPhoto. Ben Brown, who was a huge vlogger, just edits on his iPhone now. Like you can do it, right? The tech isn't really a barrier. It's more or less making sure that whatever you're recording is at least watchable, right?
Yeah,
And if you try
that's
and do something
true.
ambitious poorly, then it is unwatchable, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So that's kind of where I'm trying to make sure that I feel like content is the main thing. Um, but if it is like impossible to watch, if it's like the sound is so horrible or so junky, and hopefully my sound isn't too junky, but it's like then it's just yeah, you're not even getting your good content out there. So it's like trying to find the balance of like not caring so much about the production quality because we're in quarantine, like we only have the resources that we have at our disposal, and I'm not trying to break the bank trying to become like Casey Neistat or anything. But
Right, right.
yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I think the harder thing is that you're trying to actually show more than just your thoughts, right? Like you're trying to draw and show process either on screen or on a notebook or a piece of paper. So there's many, like that's just technically complicated to live
Yeah.
stream. Even our church, like we now have this software, we're like adding in videos and then we have a live stream camera and then other things. But realistically, like the software I learned in 30 minutes, like you just kind of drag it around. Like
And
I
which
sent
software
you
are you using?
that's a different one. I'll pull it up. I'll
Okay.
because it's probably relevant for this conversation.
Yeah.
It's this whole other streaming software that they're using. But this is another one we've been looking at, StreamYard, which we're using right now, which
Yeah.
I sent
This
to
one is super
Amy
easy.
5 minutes before, and it
We
works.
abandoned OBS because I could not get Joel's sound to work and I couldn't even get my mic to work. And I still don't know if it's working. And Joel was like, let's just use StreamYards. It's so easy. And I was like, and we literally set it up in the 5 minutes before we got on here.
I
But
think that's
yeah,
the nice thing. There's like just so many tools, and so even if you don't have all the technical know-how, there's pretty easy to onboard and learn some of these things. And if you can't, you probably shouldn't be live streaming. Like if you can't figure out how to switch your
no,
live cram source, like you shouldn't be live streaming.
right. Yeah. And maybe I will abandon it after all this. We'll see. But no, but Kathleen Illustrated, she's asking, she's actually does Adobe Live. She's the host on Adobe Live. She's incredible. She's a pro at all this. But she was wondering
Yeah,
what you use to edit on mobile, like if you're on the go, because you do a lot of stuff. You just did a video the other day of
yeah,
you running.
yeah. I've been seeing the comments right now. I just discovered that. I actually have been using Rush most recently to try and pre-edit things before I transfer them to Premiere or sync them with Creative Cloud, just because the files are so large, and then like I would like sync them to Dropbox or to Google Photos and then download them. Sometimes they get down resed, and so I've been doing like speed adjustments or crop adjustments in Rush, exporting and then sending to my main workflow. That's been a nice little optimization thing. But yeah, honestly, like the time lapses and all those things are all Visco and the raw camera from iOS or Android.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So it's just like simple stuff. Yeah. We were trying to set up my Canon EOS. Like we have like a 7D, I think. And I ended up just using our phone and it was fine. We just turned on the
Sometimes it's
HD
better.
60 frames per second. It was so simple. That's what I used to do our video that we just recorded a quick video of like, everyone kept asking me how to make pattern brushes. And so I just made a quick video and it's all on my iPhone. Like those things are pretty, they're pretty awesome.
Even, and I mean, some of these other cameras and things, the nicer ones you get that can produce really nice results can, like, just like the technical parts, can look really bad. And so you can get a really good camera that's $3,000 and shoot it in log and not know how to edit it, and it will look like trash. And so like that's why like iPhones work really well. And so if you're just wanting to stream and say something, it's just like Anchor. Like you can literally get Anchor, record from your like Apple headphones and release a podcast, and it sounds pretty good. Just like these Blue mics. Yeah.
And we invested like a little while ago in one of these like Snowball mics, and it wasn't that expensive. Yeah. And that's the next thing that I have to figure out is how to make sure our sound is as good as yours, things like that. So like Snowball mics, are there any like cheap mics is that what you use?
That's what I use. I have this Blue Snowball. I have a couple other ones. For on-camera mics, all the Rode mics work really good.
Ooh, those are fancy.
RODE. But even still, they sell like a little one that you can plug into a headphone. I have it somewhere over here. It's like $20. You plug it in. It's a little lav that you can put on.
Yeah.
So those things are nice when you like want a wide shot, but you want like a good microphone. You can just plug that into your whatever recording device you have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to hack it together.
Yeah, for sure. And then for live streaming, like if creatives are wanting to share their process, because that's what most people I'm coming into contact with they're using like, they've got their iPhone like above their paper, like on one of those clamps with the arms, and they're trying to like paint underneath. Yeah. And then they do all this work, and then their live stream gets lost on Instagram, which happens all the time, where people's like, they'll go live and then for some reason Instagram doesn't save it, which is why I've been trying to do YouTube. So like what if you're trying to do like a screen recording of like you doing live design or illustration? I mean, I'm using OBS software, and as far as just like a one person recording my screen, I was able to figure it out, and it's free, which is incredible. And they have like a donation kind of thing. So I definitely recommend that for people. And there's tons of YouTube videos with like 12-year-old like gamers teaching you how to use it. Right. It's amazing. Exactly. And so I loved that, but I couldn't figure it out with like the 2-person thing. But do you ever share your screen or do any live design?
Yeah, so I'm just finishing a video actually tonight that is me doing some new sticker sheets in Figma for Chrome. Nice. And I have a top down that I did. And then screen record everything just with QuickTime. Like I screen record everything. I haven't done the live thing yet, mainly because I don't want to have a conversation. I'm just like, here's what I'm doing and here's what I learned. I'm really trying to have people tear apart my method yet. And honestly, the stuff I'm doing, I can't. Like I have to like tastefully edit my stuff to show what I can show, because I'm just like working. And so I'm trying to do that, document me actually working, and then editing it down to show what I can show, to show people's process of like real life files that we're working on.
Which when you work for Google, you can show like what 0.001%. Like,
well, you can only show what's released, right? And so the benefit is that Chrome is open source, right? And so if something's open source and in the code base, there's no problem showing it. But I've been doing that with historic, like I did a lot at Design Inc., and I've been trying to do it now at Chrome. But I'll screencast top down or either just the thing, and then I'll either talk over it or like in retrospect talk about it and then cut it together. There was what was that other, they got acquired. There was a really good Loom was is a really good screencast plus like voice recording software. They put your face like a little bubble. It's a really nice UI. I've been wanting to do that for more of these like tutorial based things. I just haven't recorded them yet. So I have a couple other series that I'm considering doing on my channel. I just haven't launched them yet just because of scope. But if this thing goes for much longer, I'll probably be doing a lot more editing for my wife and myself. So we'll be launching more content. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned Premiere Pro again like 2 days ago. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's actually so easy. And if you have an Adobe subscription, I think like the main packages, it comes with that. So yeah, that's been
Yeah.
pretty
And
fun.
it's
Yeah.
like once you dig into it and really learn like the sequences and how the timeline works and stuff, like don't get scared of it. Like once you get past Photoshop, once you get past some of these softwares, you get to really understand what you can make in it. And I've been blown away with like the different LUTs and like the community around a lot of the Adobe products and all the things that you can buy for like $20 and have amazing looking on screen, like different things and transitions and titles.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
really fun to get into a different medium, right? It's a nice
Yeah, it
respite
is.
from UX.
It is. It's super fun. I know. Yeah. I've been like, it's been so much fun. Yeah. So, okay. Last question that I have planned. And then if anyone in chat has
Yeah.
questions, cool. But, okay, length of video. So I keep hearing these things of like, I think it's like, should it keep it sweet, keep it short? Like, does size matter? Should it be longer? I mean, we just do live streams because it's so fun to see process. And I love like getting the, behind the green curtain of Oz, like look into how
Yeah.
people are doing things. And of course you just need more time to do that. But as far as like tutorials or like any other kind of content that you're trying to put out, should it be shorter? Like less than 3 minutes, less than 5 minutes?
I mean, I think for the type of content we're making, longer probably is going to serve better for the algorithm. I know it's kind of always changing. I do a lot of research, meaning I watch a lot of YouTube and people talk about this, and I've done that. I kind of do that with all my things. Like now it's kombucha, but like 2 years ago it was YouTube. And I think that like the longer videos are being promoted, it gets you more watch time, which is obviously great for ads and whatnot. So these longer like process style videos I think are really popular, which is why you're seeing a lot more like hiking solo videos and there's those crazy videos of people making. Yeah, I'll have to find it. If the chat knows, they can drop it in there. But there's a creative that goes hiking. I think he's a designer actually, or an engineer, but goes on these beautiful hikes. Doesn't say anything, but there's beautiful music, and it's these like wide shots of like Yosemite and him just like walking across a landscape. But there, or you see like bushcraft or these other like process videos that are like 3 hours long. I think those do really well on YouTube, and so.
That's like Jen. Jen watches this. It's essentially YouTube quality, but it's on Amazon Prime, and it's an English guy that just boats the narrow canals in a narrow boat, and he doesn't say anything except, "Oh, look at that tree." All right, now we're gonna move this bridge, and it's like the boring 30 minutes, but she loves it. She loves it. So
it's kind of zen.
Accounting for taste.
Yeah, I mean, I say it's like below. And either these like David Dobrik's like 420. Every video he does is 420 as a joke, and I think that's like. If you want to be short and like YouTubey and entertaining, like it's got to be like around 4 minutes or less, unless it's a serious like video that people actually want to watch, like a process video. Then I'm like, it should be 8 or longer. Like a lot of my videos are pushing like 8 or 10 minutes if I'm talking about something. Otherwise, it's a quick like, hey, I've got a thought and I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I know. And okay, my last question.
Joe Robinette. I love Joe. Winston talked about Joe Robinette. He's one of my favorite bushcraft people that I've been watching. And it's just crazy. Just a crazy Canadian that goes out in the woods. He's been on some like discovery, like competition shows, but goes out with his dog and lives in the wilderness and like portages between lakes for like 5 days.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I would watch that. I would totally watch that. And also Winston, you should live stream behind your like typography making process.
Yes.
I would totally watch that. I listened to Ken. Oh shoot, I forgot his last name. I can't believe I did. But type and lettering manual guy from House Industries, Ken Barber.
Yes.
I listened to him, and he gives so much behind on his process and just explains so much, which is really cool. And I would love to see some lettering or typography behind the scenes. So Winston,
there's another great.
Do it.
There's another great icon. He's a famous icon designer and game designer.
And he's doing behind the scenes. I just love to see
a ton of process.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm considering doing like an app breakdown like series where I'm just like downloading new and popular apps and just like not criticizing them, but breaking down the UI patterns and the iOS versus Android things, or just analyzing it almost like a reaction video. Not because I think I want to critique people's work, because I think the conversation is interesting and people would enjoy it. But you also don't want to be an asshole and just say stuff that no one cares about. And so that I'm like struggling with that personally.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, I remember we talked a long time ago at lunch and we were like, we need to start a podcast or do a talk. And we just need to talk about Joel was like, I want to know what keeps you up at night. I want to know what makes you
Yeah.
cry. And I was like, yes, let's get into the nitty gritty.
Yes. I don't want to talk about your design and that, I mean, those
And
things still might
that's the
come,
tough
right?
part.
But
Yeah, it's like, where's the balance of like, your audience obviously follows you for the design probably, but they also want to know some things about your life. And so I'm kind of also trying to figure out that balance of like, when am I oversharing? When am I that girl at the party? And when is this good and interesting?
well, and eventually it's like, why am I like, why am I doing this?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Because I
we
don't
have,
want to just add to the noise, especially right now. All I see is this person's going live, this person's going live. And I'm like, it's overwhelming.
yeah, I mean, I really am glad that I documented YouTube, even though like some of the videos are kind of silly. I've gone back and watched some older videos. And I'm like, that's so dumb. That was a waste of time.
So,
But there's also like moments with my kids or things in my life that are cool to have documented. And so like, I imagine I'll continue making videos. I've made videos since I was in college, and it's been a nice medium for me to share ideas and thoughts. But I think everyone has their own thing. Some people like podcasting, some people like writing. I suck at writing. Um, Half of my Medium posts have been like me recording video and then sending it to somebody to ghostwrite because I just suck at putting things into words. But I think it's people should share more. I think this is the long story.
I do too. And even Kathleen was just saying, hot take, I don't like to consume design content. Give me the nitty gritty weird stuff. And I agree because I follow Kathleen because she posts the weirdest like food content, outfit content, like just really fun stuff. And then also we'll do some like illustration stuff, which I really enjoy. But
that's the hard part though, is that like, so I cry more on my videos than I do talk about like UX, right? Like I'm more talking about like me decomposing my religion and talking about how it's aligning with politics and something that I saw in the forest, right? Like it's me just like talking about things.
Talking at your feelings.
But my most popular video is me talking about some dumb skateboard that I reviewed and me talking about 8-point grids. It's like a 4-year-old video. It's out of date. And I still get questions of like, oh my gosh, you saved my life. And I'm just reading the material spec. So if I wanted to like quit my job and be a YouTuber, I would just go through iOS and Android and read the specs and screen share them, and I would make money. So like that's the content that people search for and use YouTube for, but it's not the meaningful content or the content that is valuable. And so I've been focusing on the content that I want to make, which is inconsistent. And when I'm angry and depressed, I'm not making content. And that's why like there's 6 months missing from last year because I had a bad year, right? Like, and I'm feeling better. So I'm making content again.
Right.
But it's not a job for me. It's very much an outlet and a way for me to get away from my day job.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad I don't want to make this into like any kind of like, I don't want to be the next streaming sensation. Like Josh Reed's our mutual friend.
You should be. You could be. I mean,
that's funny.
I'm saying
Josh Reed was like, it's Amy and Den Paul. You could be related to the Pauls. I was like, oh gosh, why would you say that?
No, I mean,
like,
obviously, yeah, we've talked about this on podcasts before about like you and your sister have a very marketable brand and do you well on stage and in media. Like, I think to be able to talk and also show your talent of how fast and how beautiful you guys can create things is something people would love to watch. I think you guys would make a beautiful business out of this as well. But all that being said, you won't keep doing it unless you really want to make good content, right? And so I think the reality is you just want to say something and make good content. Yeah.
That is interesting. I know, because I'm trying to figure out, because it is interesting. You can actually like make money on the platform if you have like enough subscribers. And so that kind of plays into like, and I was trying to think about that as far as like just diversifying our income streams, which I'm always trying to do. I'm always paranoid that like something is going to fall through and, we'll be left on our ass, so I'm always thinking about that.
It's falling through. It's literally falling right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I was thinking, I was like, if we could get enough subscribers that were just found value and help in these, in these videos that we're doing, in these live design things that we're doing, that doesn't give away too much or like take away too much from like the Hoodzpah, the quality that Hoodzpah's doing and like the caliber that we want to be seen in, so that, when people come to us, they're not like, are these girls just like teachers? Or like, I want them to know we are a design agency first, but we also love to share the process side.
Right.
So I'm like trying to find the balance of that right now. That's kind of like my job. My job in the next couple of weeks here in quarantine is like figuring out how can YouTube be like something cool that we can, meet with our community. And without like giving away the farm of like the Hoodzpah secret sauce, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though, is that like there's a conversation happening and you just kind of jump to have that conversation that used to be that used to be blogs and WordPress, and then it was Dribble, and then it was Twitter, and then we had websites, and now we have Instagrams. And now everyone's creating podcasts and YouTubes. It's just people using different media, right? And so you could be a curmudgeon and be like, I only use Behance, and there's people that still only use Behance, and no one's looking at them. And so it's fine. Like you're in a conversation, everyone left. You know what I mean? Dribble's that way. I love Dribble, but no one's posting there. No one's.
It kills me.
It's just different. And so I would love for people to post a 30-second recap of a design time lapse of their day on YouTube over Dribble. Dribble should have built that feature.
And I think it is interesting. It's like, where is your audience? And I was just thinking about like Instagram and how like a lot of people go live on Instagram and it's easier, but then I feel like the value for you of putting the content out there, you're not getting much in return, even though your audience is getting a lot. Mm-hmm. Like at least if you have a lot of subscribers on YouTube and you're putting out amazing content that's helpful to your audience, you're also getting potentially the ad, money after you get 1,000 subscribers and like things like that. So it's like, at least that's why I was thinking, oh, YouTube would be better for us. And the videos can live long after so that even people that want to see it later can still go back. So I was like, to me, it just made sense. And YouTube is great because, you don't necessarily have to have like an account as strictly as you do on Twitch or something like that to watch.
Right.
You can easily just log in, check out a video and like, peace out of there. So yeah. But you're
also,
right.
I want to say too, like, I don't want to make this me shitting on Behance and Dribble. I'm trying to make the point. I'm seeing the comments too. Like, I think I started on Behance, and I think it's one of the best places to post quality content, just like Vimeo is the place for that for video over YouTube. I think the point I'm trying to make is that as generations and tech platforms change, people have conversations in different places. Just like I am out of the live stream, gaming, Twitch, Snapchat, TikTok conversation. I'm not a part of that conversation. You'll see me there, and I don't have anything on those platforms because I'm an old dad. But that I think in the design space, that's changed, and I think that's the big challenge for Behance and Dribble is to understand how they can be relevant when people are live streaming and creating podcasts for design.
And Behance has been smart in that they teamed up with Adobe Live, because that is one thing that's huge for them. I think that was genius to make that team up. So. Yeah, I think you're right though. You have to make sure that you figure out where your audience is and kind of focus your efforts there. But it's been fun. It's been fun. Does anyone in the chat have any questions? I feel like I got most of my questions out for Joel and
I'm allowed to shit on a little bit. I was painted as like the bad guy in this thing, right? Like,
I know our pictures were so funny in that graphic I made. I was like, oh, it's like good cop, bad cop. I know, but and speaking of, oh shoot, what was I gonna say? I wanted to shit on something. I really like to be a mean girl, Joel. It's really bad, but I love talking some trash.
I can't speak. I started Design Inc. So like, it's
we all have big failures. I tried to start a drive-in movie theater, and I bet everybody wishes that was going on now, because we could have had 6 feet of distance safely in our cars and gone to the movie theaters. But no, back in 2012, nobody wanted to do it. But yeah, no, it is pretty interesting. But yeah, so I was looking on YouTube the other day, and one thing I will say is I've noticed also that on YouTube there's a lack of content in the design space. Like it's like Chris Do. And it's like a few other people, but I'm like, there's a lot of room for people to be sharing process and just like ideas. So I'm pretty excited about jumping in. So
I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing everything with us. And if you guys want to keep in touch with Joel, I'll put his stuff in here. It's at Beukelman on most things. And I'll find your Twitter and I'll share it all.
Yeah,
make it all official.
It's at Beukelman everywhere. I just have an underscore on Twitter because a Dutch DJ has it.
And I went to his profile because I was like, this isn't Beukelman? And he never posts. Yeah.
I've been trying to take it for years.
That's really funny that you have a Dutch DJ that you're vying with, because I wanted Hoodzpah, just Hoodzpah, and a Jewish DJ or a Jewish rapper in New York has it and won't give it up. So I have a similar problem.
Yeah. Justin's asking how do we get over awkwardness?
And I also have a question in that vein of like, how you have to say like and subscribe at the end. I can't bring myself to say it, and I know I need to, because you need to just ask, right? But how do you do it without wanting to?
I don't know. I've tried to get into metrics, even at 4,000, which is not a lot of subscribers. I don't get anything meaningful outside of knowing that most of my followers are dudes in America. I don't have a very diverse viewership, which isn't surprising. I think the awkwardness thing for me, this is more comfortable for me than talking in a group of 6 people. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get over being awkward in person. It's much more easy for me to like be like open up myself and be vulnerable on a camera when no one's there. I don't know why that is for me. I obviously didn't get over it in the context of vlogging. I just don't video in front of people. Like I record in a conference room or at my desk or out in the field somewhere, and I don't really do the hold up thing. I tried for a while, and I couldn't do it. And so I will do something with my phone in an airport or when I'm walking around a city, very discreetly. But the talking to the camera thing, I just do it in isolation. That helps me feel comfortable. But it's always been something I've done a lot of. So I could imagine, I empathize with that being scary if you haven't used your voice or don't like looking at yourself. That's hard. Yeah.
You're like, I don't look like this. Surely I don't look like this. You know how you have this vision in your mind and you're like, this camera is a little too honest. It's like the dressing rooms at Target. They're cruel. But I think
you do a good job at it.
Oh, thank you. Also, Trevor Gerard was asking, and this is interesting too, because this is what I keep trying to do. I keep coming up with these big ideas. Like he's saying, like, how do you do something unique and different than what everyone else is doing, so you're not just adding to the noise, and so that you're still engaging and it's unique while just using like your phone or social media. And I come across this too, where it's like it's very limiting to use those platforms, but they are the most easily accessible to your wide audience. But I'm always trying to do something exciting and new, and then it all falls apart because I've jumped the shark. Yeah,
I guess I think that I'm not doing anything interesting or new, right? Like, I mean, if you think Google is interesting and new, then maybe it is, right? But like, I'm making a browser just like, hundreds of other designers are making browsers. I think that the interesting part about vlogging or content, I think, is when people are authentic about it. So instead of you just talking about what you're doing, talking about what you're struggling in what you're trying to do is more interesting, right? So my most recent video that I'm trying to finish now, I realized I'm not really saying anything interesting about what I'm doing in Figma because I'm learning it, right? And so instead of scrapping the video, my narrative is me learning what I didn't know in Figma. I'm like, oh, I learned this. Like these things are different from Sketch. So it's becoming like my first run analysis. But I didn't know that going in. I'm just like recording myself and then being honest about what I'm thinking and going through, rather than saying, I want to have this opinionated piece that says this thing. I don't have an agenda when I make a video. I'm just like, I'm doing this thing and these are things I'm going through, and I'll make that a narrative. And sometimes it doesn't work, but yeah, I think the more vulnerable and the more honest you are, the more interesting those stories become. So I don't think most people's stories are boring. Sure. I think most people are afraid to be authentic and makes really boring content.
Yeah. I think that is interesting though, because it's so funny when someone will start, like even when we interview people for connecting things, the in-person event that we do, people will be like, oh, I could talk about this, but that's boring. And I'm like, that's the most interesting thing you've said in the last 5 minutes. Like focus on that. And it is always the personal story, the failure story. Without fail, it is always that thing instead of like the
or it's the nuance. Like I was talking to Josh Ariza and I was asking about some apparel stuff, or we're talking about the masks that he's printing, right?
Right.
Having made, and he started getting off on some tangent about thread count density for socks and how you print different, how like the density per pixel translates to thread count. And he's like, that's just like dumb. That's just dumb apparel stuff. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's like me talking about like contextual density based on device input or something that he would not be keen to, right? And so I think it's like talking about that nuance, about me explaining why we capitalize some words in certain scenarios and don't in others, seems monotonous and boring to me, but some people might think it's interesting. And I think that is the point, right? And I think, that's what Trevor's saying.
And I was talking to Jen about this because we bounce all our ideas off each other, and because we grew up twins, we're very lucky to have like that built-in like writing partner. I really believe that like you should have some sort of like SNL style, like everyone at SNL, they have a writing partner and they bounce ideas off each other and it makes their sketches better. So it's like having someone like you and Josh Arisa talking that out. Josh is the one who helped you, or you are the one who helped Josh figure out, okay, that's like something interesting that most people don't know. Because we don't know what's new and interesting about ourselves. It's all boring, hashed out, you know.
Well, you need someone to call you on your shit, right? Like we have a group thread of like 6 or 8 designers that are just like, and the idea I was discussing about like doing an app breakdown, like reactions thing on YouTube might be seen as something that's like, why are you criticizing this? Who are you? You don't know the context, right? And so I asked them, is this a bad idea? Am I an asshole if I do this, right? And I think we need those people. Often it's our spouse or our sister, right? That are like, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't do that. You're not good at that. But I do think there's, as any design process is, there's iteration to it and some discovery. I think I just now kind of what I want to do on YouTube as like a way to say something. But that took some time of like, being awkward.
Totally. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm like, you know what, just get something out there. If it's not the best, you learn something from it. At least you know one more thing than you did the last time. And I think that's better than just waiting for it to be perfect. And then, kind of like almost like psyching yourself out and just like, I don't know, you probably would never start if you did it that way, Well, that's what I've done my whole business.
Yeah. I would argue too that the tools of like being able to speak and present like on video or audio, and also being able to produce that type of content makes people a really deadly resource in the broader context of what you do. So like you could be an illustrator or an engineer or a designer or whatever how you identify, whatever. But like, if you can now do that thing and encapsulate it in something that could be sold or bought or communicated, right? Like you see like Jimmy Kimmel can't make a YouTube video and he's trying to act in his living room and be a YouTuber, and they're doing it really poorly. Like there's these 2 guys, Colin and Samir, that were like, you're watching these Hollywood professionals struggle because all that they do is read a teleprompter and everyone else does everything else. And so you see a 3-year veteran YouTuber producing better content by themselves on a laptop than Hollywood, because they aren't creators. They're a production team of people that make content with actors. And I think that is interesting. If you are an illustrator, but can also be a content creator and make content, you can now sell designs and how to make those designs in a course and make a TV show, which is why I feel very fortunate to have like a photo background and a traditional background in music and art, so that like I make vlogs because I get to pick a track to cut stuff to. Like, that's the funnest part, is like the time lapses and like how the cut breaks. That's the only that's the creative outlet. Like that's the fun part for me, because I don't get to make music for my career,
Right. Totally. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm having so much fun with it so far. Like I picked up the live streaming and the YouTube thing, and Jen's she downloaded Pro Tools and like making her own music now. So
sick. You guys are gonna be like they have a little band now. So,
it's hilarious. And our friend Paul Hutchinson, who runs Hype Type Studio in LA, he's an amazing designer, but we're going to send each other tracks back and forth like postal service and see what we can come up with. Yeah, he used to be a DJ in England. And so I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun.
There's somebody, I'm sure there's an app that does that already, but there's someone making like a chat room in the browser where you can play music together.
Right.
Where, like, remember, you pick an instrument and you play live. There was that Turntable FM, which was like, there's a room DJ that would play music for the room.
Yes,
and people
that's
would, like,
what I was
thumbs
thinking.
up. Yeah.
Josh Sortino was like, who's going to bring it back? And I was like, yes.
I know.
Please. Somebody resurrect that.
There's another one that's like not as good, but Spotify should build it.
They totally should. I know. I'd be in on that. Yeah, I'd be in on that. Well, Joel, thank you for joining us. That was like so helpful. I feel like I learned so much more.
I mean, I think I did too.
Just from talking it out, just like having a sounding board. It's amazing.
Yeah. I guess that what you need is the real weigh-in from the community of whether or not they think you should still live stream.
I know. Oh, geez, I know. Yeah. I am going to figure out. Everybody, I'm going to figure out my microphone. That's my homework for this week.
Do a poll later.
Can we do a poll? I'll do a poll later. Okay. Should Amy continue to try to live stream despite all of the ups and downs and twists and turns? But yeah.
And then I'll do my test live stream, and I'll bring you in. And
let's see if you can do it. You definitely can do it better. I'll get my.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll get my Snowball mic working for sure. But yeah. If you guys enjoyed this, We are new on YouTube, so give us a pity follow. Just do it. Just click it. No one can see it. The numbers don't matter on YouTube. Nobody's looking at them. It's not like Instagram and Twitter.
It's free.
It's free. You know, I mean, then you get notifications if we ever do live design, which is what you're really
for
here
the small price of your micro attention.
For the micro price. So yeah, join us live anytime here, and definitely give Joel a follow. And thanks so much for tuning in, and see you around the internet.